What is going on, everyone, and welcome to r/EntitledParents. I hope you're all doing well. Now, without further ado, let's jump straight in to our first Entitled Parent story. Anti-masker parent story. So this is my first week working parcel at a department store in the Pacific Northwest. My job is pretty much dragging in carts, cleaning up spills, running back returned items, etc. Sometimes I have mask duty, which is standing at the entrance bay, wiping down carts, and giving customers masks if they need one. It's not a bad job, and the people are cool. Now, yesterday, a couple walked in with their 5-year-old kid with no mask, so I said something like this. "Hey, can you guys please put on mask before entering the store? I have some if you need." Only to have the mother tell me, "Frick no!" And the father to follow up with, "What's the deal with the all-black outfits? You look like you're one of them blank-loving Antifa thugs." For context, my work outfit is a black hoodie, pants, and shoes with a black mask and a neon yellow vest so cars can see me. My work is pretty relaxed about outfits. We can wear pretty much anything we like as long as it's not offensive or distracting. At the time, I had my hood up because it was cold. I had no idea how to respond aside from walking my manager, telling her what happened, but she said there isn't much we can do and let them be. Now guys, before we move on to our next story, I firstly want to tell you about the kind sponsor of today's video, Raid Shadow Legends. Have you ever dreamed of fitting an amazing, truly AAA quality game in your pocket? Well, now you can with Raid Shadow Legends. Immediately when you open the game, you can select your first champion. I chose the big man Galek, extremely strong and muscly like myself, so I thought that was the perfect fit for me. By the way, he's great at getting you through the early stages of the campaign, as you can see. One of my favorite parts of the game, no doubt, is the PvP arena battles. I personally love multiplayer games, so being able to battle other people online is an amazing thing for me. Another bonus is that the developers of Raid are constantly working on the game to provide new updates and bonus content. They just released the Artifact Forge, where you can save time and craft artifacts directly, as well as a whole new advanced quest system with amazing rewards. They've also brought out a load of new champions, and they're developing the Doom Tower as we speak, which looks pretty amazing. You can find me in-game under the name Redditor YT, and if you're quick enough, you can even join my clan. So what are you waiting for? Click the links in the description and the pinned comment right now and download the game for free. Also, if you are a new player, you will get 100,000 silver plus 2 clan boss keys, 3 ancient shards, and 1 free champion adjudicator. Look at her, what a beast! But these rewards are only available for the next 30 days, so you've got to be quick. All your treasure will be waiting for you just here in the top right hand corner of your screen when you enter the game. So there you go guys, download Raid Shadow Legends today for free. Thanks again Raid for sponsoring this video. Now for our next story. Wedding guest steals from behind the bar and lies about it. I bartended weddings for a while and met a whole cast of characters every weekend. There was almost always a bottle of white and a bottle of red wine on every table, as well as more behind the bar for us to serve. I worked at a more affordable venue, so what was put out was usually all the guests were getting for free. We always kept the white wine in the fridge and the red on the counter below the bar top. The neck of the bottle stuck up a little bit and guests could see them. This was never an issue until someone showed us it might be. We always closed the bar during dinner to slow booze flow and so we could help serve dinner. A guest approached me claiming they were out of wine and needed more. I told him that there were only 2 bottles per table, but he was more than welcome to ask any of the other tables if they weren't drinking a bottle. I continued serving tables and did a pass by the bar. One of my bottles of red was missing. I had an idea of who it was, but I had to confirm. I told my manager that one of the bottles was missing and that I thought I knew who it was. Now, I have to explain something. Most couples got custom labels on their wine. They're not charged full price for the wine they don't use, as we can use it for bar service later. Restaurant guests don't usually see the bottle their wine is poured from anyway. This missing bottle was one of those. For the sake of the post, Craig and Alyssa were getting married that day. I found the guest that had asked for more wine at his table and saw the second bottle of red in front of him. So I asked him, "Where did you get that bottle?" To which he answered, "Another table gave it to us." He straight up lied, so I picked up the bottle and showed him the picture of a different couple on the bottle. "This bottle is from Tyler and Olivia's wedding, and I know you stole it from the bar. That was a mistake." He kind of sputtered and tried to apologise. I took the bottle back to the bar and informed all of my co-workers that he was cut off. Come prepared to pay for drinks when it's not an open bar, and actually listen when they say last call before dinner. If you can't make it a couple of hours without a drink, you should have come prepared for that as well. Yeah, I mean, I get that it's a wedding and all, and usually at weddings people like to have a good time, have quite a lot to drink, etc. But, you can't just go about stealing wine bottles from behind the bar when it's not an open bar service, and you've been specifically told yourself not to have any more wine because, it's not available. You've had your bottle, you can either go and get someone else's, or that's it. I think what OP said at the end there as well about if you can't go more than a couple of hours without having a drink, yes, it's at a wedding, but come on, that is a little bit of a serious situation, something you should probably sort out. Now for our third story. Neighbor complains about everything and even makes up stuff to try and get me evicted. I get awesome revenge when I finally leave. Some backstory for some context. So my entitled neighbour owned her apartments and was a part of the housing board there as an owner, but I was just renting right next door. I have a cat who was a registered service animal for anxiety and had the landlord's permission to have her there. I worked multiple split shifts in disability care and would work until 12 AM and leave about 6 AM sometimes, and would be out all day just doing different shifts. I was very quiet when I would come home, and I lived there alone and wasn't seeing anyone, so it was just me there. My cousin had just been found murdered after being missing for 30 days, and I was quite upset about this, obviously, and had taken up smoking again. I would smoke just outside my back door, and it started with my neighbour just slamming her back door. Now, I realised that the smell was going into her door, so I went further out so it would stop annoying her. Then, one day, I was putting out my washing, and my neighbour started having a go about me having a cat and how she was on the board, and either I get rid of the cat or she will get me kicked out. So I told her that my landlord knows and she can do whatever she wants, but she won't succeed, and that she has 2 little yappy dogs, so she won't get very far anyway. Then the false complaints started. My landlord called me, and apparently I was having very loud sex all hours of the day and night. I was never home though, as I worked mostly 7 days a week at that point, from about 6 AM to 12 AM split shifts. He also said I was doing this in the day and was sleeping for the rest of the hours. I was smoking in my home, I was banging on her walls, etc. On the times that I was home, I could hear her yelling and screaming at me from her house, or she would bang on my walls in the middle of the night, randomly waking me up and causing me to have nightmares. She actually called the police on me numerous times. I ended up recording her to prove to my landlord that it was her and not me. I'd actually had one of the other elderly owners on my side and defend me to the board, as she had heard and seen what my neighbour had been doing to me and knew that I wasn't nasty, as I would do her shopping for her on really hot days. Eventually, it all became too much for me because I was trying to grieve for my cousin, and I informed my landlord that I wanted out and asked if I could break my lease without copping a fine, and she said absolutely, because I was a model tenant in the other homes I had rented from her. Now here comes the revenge part. I had a week off to move out and clean, etc. So I played nothing but metal music or pronos really, really loudly, banged on my neighbour's walls at night, and filled her letterbox with baked beans. Thanks for coming to my petty TED Talk. And there you go, guys. As I always say, as much as I do enjoy entitled parent stories on their own, the best entitled parent stories, in my opinion, are the ones where you get a little bit of that petty or pro-revenge at the end, just to give the entitled person the karma that they so deserve. I mean, in this story especially, right? If you just left and she'd been lying about you, your entitled neighbour that is, for all that time, that would have been so harsh and unfair on you, but good on you for getting some good, well-justified revenge, filling a letterbox with baked beans. I've never heard that one before, but that must be incredibly annoying to deal with. So OP, well done. Now for our fourth story. Lazy, rude coworker lashes out when I won't do his job for him. I've worked with Steve for about 12 months now, in a job I really enjoy, except for my dealings with him. We're on the same project team and have the same boss. Steve is obviously in way over his head in his role. He's in his late 30s, but I get the impression that he's never been meaningfully held individually accountable for his work before. He lacks the skills necessary to do his job well, and the boss chews him out a lot. That he was hired for a job he can't do isn't really his fault, but he seems to have no interest in actually improving. Instead, he acts like everyone else should cater to him. Steve's preferred way of working clashes with our company's culture, which revolves around peer review and self-management. When he first joined, he sent the entire team a message basically saying it was up to us to make him brilliant, and little has changed since then. Because of the low quality, his work needs a lot of feedback input from others, which he seems to simultaneously expect but also resent. In the beginning, I felt sorry for Steve. I didn't think he was such a bad guy, and I've been lost in jobs before. Since our roles do have some overlap, I offered to help fill the gaps in his outputs and work with him on setting up his projects. What a mistake. He's only become more entitled, needy, and diva-like, particularly towards me. Recently, he's stopped doing pretty much anything but writing long, opinionated messages about projects. I'm assuming with the aim of stalling having to make his own contribution. If I suggest an idea for a team project to Steve, he'll either claim it as his own entirely and then sit on it and do nothing, or flat out refuse to do any work on it because it doesn't speak to him. So, if I want a project to be completed, I either need to work around him or just drop it. He's told me that I'm welcome to do the things that are explicitly his job, then offered to look it over after I've done it so he can put his stamp on it and make it look like he's helped. For his own projects or stuff the boss asks him to do, he'll tell the boss he's done more work than he has, then come to me and essentially tell me that I need to do all the preliminary work that he lied about so he can tie it together as a finished product. I've started pushing back on this, and he usually sends me long messages and emails arguing with me about it and why I should do his job. If I try and offer him some ideas on how he can do the work himself, he'll send me a wall of angry text, closing off that he's not trying to come across as rude, but I really need to do it for him. And if I just do bits of the projects for him because it's easier than arguing or getting him to F off, he'll turn around and blame me if his work isn't well received by the boss or others, which it almost never is. I've tried to talk to the boss about this, and she was sympathetic, but made it clear this guy isn't going anywhere anytime soon. I've been trying to distance myself as much as possible from Steve, and so far it's helping, but I cannot believe this POS still has a job. Yeah, honestly guys, I think the blame for this one has to lie with the boss more than this entitled worker. You're gonna get entitled people like this that want other people to do their work and are lazy in their job. It's just, it's just a fact of life. But if a boss cannot see that someone is really letting the team down and really not fulfilling their contract at all by not doing any of the work or claiming work on behalf of others, etc., then you need to get rid of them. I don't know why she's saying he's not going anywhere anytime soon. That is just bad management in my opinion, and ultimately the success of a company depends on the boss, so it's up to her to get the right people hired and fire the wrong people. Let's be realistic. Don't get me wrong, this dude obviously has to try a bit more and actually do his job properly, but if he's unable to do his job just because of the nature of his character, then the boss has to fire him, for not fulfilling the contract and not doing his job correctly and not even attempting to do it. But yeah, the boss needs to pull a finger out and actually do something about it rather than just, sitting on the fence and being like, well, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm just going to let it happen. What's the point in that? Come on, do something. Anyway guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Entitled Parents. Once again, a big thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring today's video. If you haven't yet checked out the game guys, it is completely free to download on all your devices, even now on desktop. Go into the description, the pinned comment, the link is there. Click it, massively helps me, the channel, and it will help you because it's a great game. Go and get it.